Today we are taking a bird's eye early access view at Wild West Dynasty, which is a survival dynasty town building game set in the Wild West. It is currently in early access and it is available on Steam right now. This video is going to go through my ups and my downs as I played about 13 hours of its current iteration in early access. Most of you will be familiar with Medieval Dynasty, which is published by Toplitz Productions, just like Wild West Dynasty is. Both of these games do share the same publisher, but they do not share the same developer team, and I think that is an important distinction to make going forward because I think you'll see some differences in style of development as we go through the video, yet the idea of building a dynasty and a town, just like you would in Medieval Dynasty, remains the same, just in a Western setting. So, all that said, Wild West Dynasty does start you off with a little bit of a story. I have played through the whole story that we have available to us right now, although I know it is not complete yet. It's cute. It's got some little quips here and there, some pop culture references thrown with a little bit of a Wild West twist to it. Progressing through the story is a great way to unlock recipes and crafting items that you need as you progress through your town's build-up and also your character's progression. As you do work your way through the story and find your way into the first town of taxation, you are given a horse to traverse the landscape, which I think is a great thing because it does get tiring running back and forth after a while. While the game does show you the starter horse as well as a few other different types of coat colors scattered around the world, at this point I've only found that you can ride 2 of the variations of horse in the game. So I started out with Charlie, the paint colored horse, and then I progressed onto like a blue roan kind of horse after I was able to make enough money to buy him. As I explored the world, I found some barrels and chests that you can open that do have goodies in them. The game does reward you for exploring, although the environments do get a little bit repetitive and maybe aren't as polished as I would like them to be. But of course, this is really early access, so I'm not expecting it to be a perfect experience going through my first playthrough. Speaking of early access, the game released into early access in February of 2023. It is July now, so that means that it has been in early access for 5 months. If you look at the store page, the publishers and developers have said that they would like to be in early access for a full year. So we're just about halfway through with the early access experience. Based on what I've seen so far, I'm not sure that another 6 months is going to be enough time to completely finish the game or get it in a state that they want it to be in. So I am expecting that early access will be pushed back a little further. That's just my opinion though. I don't have any extra knowledge from the publisher or the developer on that fact. This is all just going based on how gameplay felt and what I would expect a finished game to be. So anyway, I rode the wilderness, entered a new biome, and I found a beautiful spot that I wanted to build my homestead, ranch, and eventually town. So I decided to go with just like a plank and a log cabin for my personal house, but then as I built houses for settlers, future settlers, I saw that I could make really nice stone structures. I think the more customization that's in a building game, the better. It provides huge replayability to the game, and who doesn't like to just tweak and tune every little thing possible to fully customize their town and make it truly their own? Like the fence building, I can frame things the way I want to. It's really easy to do, and it doesn't cost a ton of resources to do it. At this point, we can even paint our homes, which adds more to that customizability. I was able to place a well, a barn, a warehouse, and also a workshop. The process to build all these things felt a little bit clunky and, dare I say, annoying, because as you're chopping trees or mining rocks, your tools are going to break. So unless you find a way to level up your character quickly and unlock those skills that make your axe and pickaxe's durability a little bit better, even your hammer's durability a little bit better, it's going to be a tedious process to build. I was able to figure out that chopping trees down is a good way to up your character's level, but then again, you've got the whole catch-22 with needing to keep crafting stone axes over and over and over again until you can get to that point. At some point, you will be able to place down a blacksmith station in your home, which will let you build iron tools, which have better durability, but you still do go through quite a lot of tools, and I don't think there's a repair feature. This was one of my main gripes of the game. Now, the idea, of course, behind this game is that you build up a dynasty where you have decided to place your town. Right now, the dynasty option is grayed out when you go into the tab menu. We do have the option to manage our settlements, but that has not fully been expanded upon. So like we can have people come and live with us, but I don't think that all of the options we're going to have available to us are currently available, so it makes it a little bit clunky to use as well. All right, let's switch over to my personal thoughts and opinions on the game. As a lot of you know, I am a horse person. I have worked on ranches out west. I was a trail guide out in the Rockies. I love the setting of the West, whether it be the modern West or the Old West. So, of course, I have a natural interest in games, survival games in particular, that allow you to build and play in a Western environment. We all know I used to play a lot of Outlaws of the Old West, and I'm still sad that that was abandoned. It had so much potential, but I am very glad to see that another game based out in the West, in the genre that we all love, is possibly coming to us. I say possibly because early access games are never a certain thing. They're all a gamble. But the good news is that Toplitz, the publisher, has put out a few other Dynasty games, and they have a proven, very successful game in Medieval Dynasty. And honestly, a lot of the people that play their games are very happy with the experiences they've had. They just want a game where they can relax and build up a dynasty, progress through a character's story, and unlock all of the fun, customizable building features that the games give. And I'm hoping that that's what Wild West Dynasty will be able to do for us. Of course, as an early access game, the game is very, very clunky. I picked up the game after it had already had a few optimizations and updates, but I did hear that it had a pretty rocky start and it is not at all what people expected of an early access game. So this brings up the point that each game's early access development is different depending on the publisher and the developer and what their goals are for the game. This studio said that they expected the game to be in development in early access for only 12 months. That's really not that long amount of time in the span of a game's development cycle, and I did kind of expect that this game would be a little further along at this point in its development. That means we only really have another 6 or 7 months of development to be put into Wild West Dynasty if it's going to release after 12 months of early access, like it says on the store page on Steam. I really think that a lot of the basics are there. The environments are there, but they definitely need work. There's a lot of like trash and ruin scattered around the world that you can't really do anything with. And I think something players appreciate, players of this genre at least, is beauty in where they build and having options of where they would like to build. And I honestly couldn't find that many places that I was like, ooh, I want to build here. So going forward, I would hope that they keep making all of the different spots you can pick from look unique and make players want to build there as opposed to strictly looking for flat land. That brings me to my next problem, is that I tried to build in a bunch of different places, and in every single place I tried to build, there were all kinds of different pop-ups like, you can't build that here, building not allowed here, you can only build on this type of land, the ground is uneven. And I knew this kind of was a thing in Medieval Dynasty as well, but in Wild West Dynasty, it is like everywhere. Like, even if the land is perfectly flat, oftentimes it will not let you place a building there, so that was mildly frustrating. Like in my town that I currently have going on, I'm running out of places that I can build structures, so now I'm worried that I just picked a terrible place to build, unbeknownst to me, and that I might have to start over and build somewhere else. Most of the flat land that's in the game right now is placed in like an unremarkable area that isn't like pretty. I would rather build in an area that I think is beautiful instead of one of the super flat, boring areas with like no trees, no environmental details. But I'm sure that will be iterated on as the game goes through its development phase. As far as progression goes, the way that you make it through the game and unlock the different benches and figure out what you're supposed to build first, then next, was a little confusing to me. The chapters do guide you in that respect, but they don't say, hey, you need to build a warehouse before you build a workshop kind of thing. So I did get hung up on that a little bit. So yeah, quick tip, if you do buy this and try and build a town, you do need to place a warehouse down, because that is how you technically found a city. And you cannot place a workshop structure outside of a city. Now for the good, and that's going to start off with the idea of me not wanting to go to bed the first night I played the game. I wanted to keep playing it because I was curious what else we can unlock and what things look like as you go. And I think that's a really important thing the game has going for it, is that you do want to see what exactly you can build and what exactly those things are going to look like, because it's all new and fresh to you. And I think the more the developers can capitalize on that, the better. Like, keep giving us ways to customize, keep giving us ways to change things up. Like, I wanted to just explore the map and find the perfect place to build, which, you know, in a building game is an important thing. You gotta find the right place. While everything is pretty rough around the edges right now, it does have some charm to it. I enjoyed the music. I like a lot of the graphics that are used in the UI and the HUD. I really liked that you don't just get chased around by tons of crazy Wild West creatures. I like that it's relaxing, and for the most part you aren't in danger, and if you ever do get in danger, you can just run away. That kind of further cements to me that the developers are going for more of the city building, dynasty building experience versus the I'm in danger constantly experience that we see in a lot of survival games. And I kind of like that. It's relaxing. It's a nice change of pace. So you've probably guessed it already, but the feature that really shines the most for me is the building. The city building, the ranch building. The game does seem to make a distinction between the two. So like you can have a city and then you can have your own ranch, and I really do like that idea because the ranch comes with its own set of buildings, kind of more personal, and then the city, of course, you have to build within the range of your warehouse within the zone of your city. So I like that they've provided two different outlets for us to go crazy with our building, and as I said, more customization. I love, love, love where they're going with that part of the game. Another thing I really liked about Wild West Dynasty is that you are rewarded for your exploration. There are a few parts of the map where if you get a little creative, you can figure out a way to bypass the challenge that the developers have put there for you. I don't want to spoil a lot of these because I think they're really cool, and I think you should experience them yourselves if you do buy the game either now or when it does fully release. But I really did enjoy kind of working my way through those little areas and seeing what does pop up on the other side or around the corner or up the ladder, or, you know, whatever the developers put in there. I thought that that was really fun. In general, I did have a nice relaxing experience, and I do value games where I can just get on and know exactly what I'm going to get, which in this case was collecting resources and working towards building a town in the style of all of the rest of the Dynasty games. Wild West Dynasty is in early access, therefore it is still a gamble. So if you are watching this and you're trying to decide if you want to buy the game yet or wait until its final release, here are my thoughts on that. If you are someone who really enjoys the development process, working through bugs, giving developers feedback on a game, then I would say go ahead and take a look at Wild West Dynasty. If you enjoy that kind of stuff, and if what I've shown in this video seems like it's up your alley. If, however, you are looking for a more polished experience at this stage in early access, I really cannot recommend that you buy Wild West Dynasty right now. It needs smoothing out to make it a more enjoyable experience. Right now, some of the mechanics and gameplay features, some of the sound effects can be a little bit frustrating to work through. So as I said, if you're looking for a polished gaming experience, might want to take a pass on this one until it gets a little further along in early access or comes out in its full release. And that about wraps up this bird's eye view look into the early access phase of Wild West Dynasty. I really hope if you are looking at this game that this has helped you decide if you want to get involved in the game's development or maybe hold off until its final release. Please let me know in the comments down below what you thought of the video and what you think of Wild West Dynasty I'm going to go ahead and sign off for now. As always, the links to all the fun stuff is in the description box down below, like my Discord and Twitter. As always, guys, I hope you are enjoying your games, particularly if you're playing one of those crazy early access survival games. That is it for me. I will see you all in the next one.